trust funds from trending YouTube video.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be
That'd
kind
be really cool. That would be really awesome.
Says record and live. We good to go, Sue?
Yeah, I just gotta turn down the, there we go. Okay, go.
We're good?
All right,
You want me to read this, Nick?
sure.
Sure, I'll do it. So we're 8:02. Let me get my little preamble. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people who may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southborough Board of Commissioners of Trust Funds will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website, www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner: by finding the meeting at www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording transcript or other record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. That's almost a year old. Wow.
Yeah.
December 3rd, 2020 minutes. Did Sue and Nick, you're out of this, but did Sue and Bill get a quick chance just to look?
Yep, seemed fine.
Yeah, they're fine to me.
Someone want to make a motion just to make it official?
Move to approve the minutes of that date.
Would I?
Okay,
Boland, aye.
awesome. So the real reason we're here, Southborough Community Fund. So did everyone see just the quick list of expenses I sent? So you know what we spent this past year and get a sense of where we're at. I think I sent it a week or two ago. I didn't bring it up. I should probably have that ready. But I think we're well within our allotment. So it's been since, I can't remember the last month we released the community funds. It was 7 months ago, 8 months ago. So we're due for another consideration of more money being released. I don't know how the board feels about if they want to change amounts. Obviously it's bad times right now. So I think if we're going to spend the money, we should be doing it at this point. And it probably, this isn't the time to be saving money, probably. I know the community fund through Sarah had asked if we were going to be, releasing any more money to them. So that's kind of what brought this about. So how does everyone feel about amounts? I think we're all probably on board about giving them something. Yeah.
What was the last amount?
You're 7,500 a year, Bill, all the way the last 2 years.
7,500 a year.
Yeah, and just for context, last fiscal year, this is June to June, ending June 2020, we spent 13,463.
Including that?
Including that, which I believe, I can't remember what our latest balance is, Brian. Do you, you don't happen to have that, do you? I haven't seen the end of the year fund thing. They sent me the CPA one, but they didn't send me this one.
Yeah, I saw that. I got to follow up with that. I don't know why they did that.
If you
it's
can get
healthy,
it to me, that'd be great. I'm sure that this is well less than 2% that we spent last year, but it would be really nice just to know the amount.
Yep.
We're at 5,533 fiscal year to date, which includes all the gift cards and things that we've spent money on. So we've had no money go to the community fund out of that. So if you just add 7,500 to that, we're at about 13, which is just short of last year. Last spring, outside of the community fund, we had, from this point till June, we had a total of 3,700. one of which was a $2,700 nut. So
Yep.
if we assumed, $3,000 or $4,000 of need, and we paid the 7,500, that would put us at 17,000 this year. If we went up to a number like 10,000, we'd be approaching 20. But I would really love to see the amounts. I'm going to make a bet that 20,000 is close to the 2%. I think we're probably close to a million or over right now. I just can't remember it. I don't have it in front of me. You don't happen to have, you don't have any of those fund totals, do you, from the end of the year?
They're all in paper form. That's the problem.
Okay.
So you think, Nick, this year we could spend up to 20,000?
Well, I mean, our whole thing was the perpetual funds. So if we're assuming that inflation is, 3%ish, then, and we get a return of 5, then you can easily spend 2. But returns have exceeded 5, and inflation arguably has not been 3. So 2 has always been kind of the conservative number, and we've always said we could stretch to 3 in tough years.
Yep.
But here we're sitting in December or in January, halfway through the year. So this isn't the time where I would want to stretch beyond 2, right? Just because you don't know what's coming, and it's not a great time out there. But I would want to stretch to 2 at least. I think would be the way to do it. That'd be very responsible. I mean, what we could do is we could make a motion to vote for increasing to 10, conditioned upon, review of the total fund amounts as of 12/31 being in excess of $1 million. And then if they're not, then we would have to, we could throttle it down to a 2% cap, or if it's slightly below, we could revisit. Maybe we say 950 just to put a bucket on it. I'm pretty sure they are though.
What if we give them the 7,500 now, where does that bring us for the year? Anyone know?
If we give them 75 now, we're at 13,000 plus whatever we get in the rest of the year, which last year was about 3,400.
Okay. I worry, and I don't know if people are going to them now before coming to us, but I worry about, at this time of year, I worry about things like heating, oil, gas bills and stuff like that. So I would hate to, can we give them 5 now, or the 75 now, and reserve till, we know we're through the heating season?
Yeah.
I was going to suggest something like that too, Bill. We can always come back in March.
Yep.
Or even February. That's a good idea. So because we could do.
I mean, if we say right now, we would like to give you 10, but right now we're going to give you immediately. We'll give you 5 or a little more, or 75 or something like that, until we know we feel more confident that we're not going to get the requests to us for paying heating or electric bills or stuff like that. But that as long as we don't, we'll revisit the other part beginning of March as that stuff starts to come down or whatever. And then as long as we don't have, big expenses on our own side, we'll give them the rest of it. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, in big expenses, and also I want us, and actually, Brian, what we should do too is we should have a separate call with Bartholomew, because we haven't talked to them in a year and a half or so.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Investment policy.
Yeah, we're overdue for that. Even just to check in, we really should check in with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can work offline on just getting a date for that.
Yeah. Just as a separate note, I'd like to talk to them a little bit, just given that I think between us and the rest of the town money, we're probably large enough, just that we could talk to them about some alternative investment classes too, for a small piece, things that are a little bit more market neutral, like market neutral hedge fund or something, which the target return on those is like 5%. So it's not like huge returns, but if you have a downturn, they tend not to go down. And, during upswings, they tend not to go wildly up, but that's kind of a good thing.
What do you hear, Nick? Do you fear a downturn? Doesn't seem like that so far, but it's
No, I mean,
only
I never want to look at a crystal ball. And I really don't, because if you look at the Federal Reserve, I mean, they've expanded the balance sheet by, over $4 trillion in the last year,
yeah.
which, relative to the amount of money outstanding, is a lot, right? I mean, our national debt is whatever, 20 trillion. So that's like 4 trillion added to the whole system on top of that. And it's, as you can see by what's happened with the stock market, it's got to find a home somewhere, right? So unless they start yanking that money out, where the dollar falls wildly and it's only down 8 or 9%, even with all the stimulus, it's not that bad. It wouldn't make you think that, right? Then again, there's probably 2 or 3% of the population that is structurally out of their careers, right? I mean, food service is like 10%, and 25 or 30% of that is going to be gone. So, I mean, there's going to be a drag on the economy too. I just think that we, all that aside, we're in this weird position where we've got a perpetual fund, we've got a downward bias on risk through state statute and case law, right? Because we had this, I don't know if you knew this, Sue, but there was this, what was called the legal list.
Yeah.
And Massachusetts literally had this list of stocks that you were allowed to buy. And that was all that municipalities were allowed to own. And it was like 20 or 30. It was originally like 50, but then, enough went bankrupt and merged out of existence that it was down to like 20 by the time that we sat down to figure out what we were going to do with the money. So we called a couple other towns and, found that we weren't the only ones struggling with the fact that, it's mostly financial services and pharma, and you really want to diversify.
Yeah.
So we went to funds that had stocks that were outside the legal list, not individual stocks. And, it's, technically kind of not under the law, but from a fiduciary standpoint, if you were operating under the law, you would actually be breaking your duties, I think, as a fiduciary.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's like this downward bias and risk, right? Because of, this precedent of municipalities that are, managing more for the short term and things like that, that just because we're attached to a municipality, we kind of get, I don't know, tainted by or influenced by a little bit. So the idea that we could have something right now where bonds are earning so little, and if you buy long-term bonds at low interest rates and rates go up, then you really take a bath. So they're actually very risky if you're looking at trying to stretch to get a little extra yield.
Yeah.
If we can have another asset class that will get us that yield, albeit with more risk, but be more market neutral. So at least in a downturn, it's not like everything's falling at once and it's holding. Then I think that could be prudent. It could be a nice offset.
Sue's gonna say half that went right over her head. That's okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying though? I mean,
I do. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
So
when we have big downturns, and this happened in the last 2 of them, people say, well, diversify, go international, buy some bonds, buy some this. Well, but basically, everything starts to correlate together during big
Right.
downturns, and everything tends to fall together, except maybe like treasuries, right, and gold. And I'm not suggesting that we, load up the safe in the town hall with gold.
How about
William
can we
Devane pushes it though.
can we do Bitcoin and
Yeah, right.
gold and
Yeah.
So somehow I feel like if we did cryptocurrencies in a town fund, like that could be the type of thing that could,
yeah.
we could end up in the federal courthouse or something.
Right.
It
That
doesn't
would get
feel
us-
good.
That would get us a YouTube following.
Definitely. The town of Southborough buys free houses for everybody based on cryptocurrency gains.
The fund,
could
Nick, is as of December 31st, at least I saw the total balance was over about 4,013,000. So it's crossed the 4 million mark as the market value. So that's
Yeah, and
that's aggregate.
I just have to look at how much of that is cemetery. It's usually about 2/3, 1/3. I got to
The
look at.
cemetery was about 1 point. Oh well, Newell is Newell a cemetery too?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so they are about 2.2,
That's it?
2.2, yeah, 2.2, 2.3.
So that's the perpetual care fund, annual fund. Isn't there a third one that belongs to them?
Smaller one is it Brigham? I can't remember.
I'd have to look at the list.
Yeah, I'll send you the details, but
Okay, yeah, could you? I mean, if
Yeah.
that's the case, if we're really at $1.8 million, that's more than I thought we were at by far.
yeah.
Brian, why don't you, when you get a chance, send us out the updated list of funds and what's in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll do that today.
I was thinking we were more in the mid threes and that we were a third of that, which would put us a little over $1 million.
The fund did obviously, if you looked at your own funds, they did really well this past quarter, so
Yeah.
the market value is pretty high. So,
Yeah.
we'll deal with that separately, the details, unless Sue, do you want to be on that call with the investment firm to listen to?
No.
No? Okay. All right, we'll
Sorry.
exclude you from that. So Nick, I will reach out to Josh and get some dates that maybe you can fit in.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you two take care of that and you can just give us
Really, Nick.
an
I'll do
update
it,
on,
you know.
yeah.
Sure.
I've got enough of these things. I don't need to find out.
Sue, when they start talking, Josh and Nick, they start going like real grainy, and but it actually goes above me too. So don't feel bad.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But it's, I mean, if they could come out to a meeting, so we can kind of stop, wait, hold on, what are you talking about or whatever. But
we did do
because
that years
I think
ago.
we've had them out before. Yeah, but right now we're not going to have them out. And again, I don't think to me right now, I don't need to participate in another one of these
No.
things that is that Nick will
But Bill,
definitely
you actually bring up a good
understand
point.
by.
We should at some point, maybe later in the year, we should have them out at a meeting.
Yeah,
That's for due
Yes.
diligence. We should just have them.
well, you should
Yep.
have them come out and do all of the town funds in one day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they can do us and they can do the others.
Yep. Yep.
That seems like a lot, Brian, because we had a little over 600 when we met in 2003 or 4. So with all the money we've given out, that would be a triple, and we've had a reasonably conservative profile.
Chester, I can't remember which one fell under the cemetery. Okay, well, we'll deal with that.
We'll have to check it out. Yeah. I
So,
mean, that's
but-
great. We've obviously had some good picks in there that have done
Oh,
well,
yeah.
if that's the case. I'm really happy. But
We've definitely done well. There's no doubt about that.
if we're at $1.8 million, then we're going to be giving away 10, no problem.
Yeah.
I think that's because we put money into DraftKings.
DraftKings, yeah.
I got
You know
one
what?
smirk anyway.
It was Bill, it was those cannabis stocks that we got into really early on the Canadian exchange. That's where they all went
Canadian,
public first.
Don't talk to me about Canada. I hate Canada right now.
Those cannabis stocks, they all grew like weeds.
That's
Oh,
good.
boy. Until it's a Friday.
Okay.
So does
So-
anyone,
Do we
Bill-
need a motion
yeah, what kind of motion you want to make?
to say, how do people feel about immediately giving 5 to the community fund and revisit for a potential other 5 mid-March?
I'd rather do 7,500
Okay.
now and revisit for 2,500, or let's just see what else we have, potentially
Okay.
more.
Because there's been no nothing coming in, right, Brian? No hints that somebody might be coming forward with something or whatever else, other than me because they raised my property value so much.
We have,
It's 'cause that nice new house next to you.
Yeah, we've heard about that.
Guy builds a house, blocks the sun, and your property value goes up. That's a good one.
Which house is this?
Hmm?
Which house is this?
We sold the original family house next door, and the guy built a big, 4,600 square foot house or whatever, which
It's
is fine. I
beautiful.
support that, but that shouldn't raise my property value. Nobody's going to pay more for my house because he built a big house next to me. I've got my downsize house, but now they keep going up on the valuations. Who knows? My tax actually might go down. I doubt it, because it's the valuation went up
Get Sabelli out
$25,000 or
there.
something.
Have him look it over.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, get Sabelli out there. You know what I tell people that are putting additions on, whatever else. When the building inspector comes, there'll be a guy lurking behind her and say, "Who are you? You're not coming in," because your valuation will go way up once you. Oh, we didn't know you had this here or whatever else, but hey.
You sold the land.
Hey, Bill, pretty soon you'll
Oh,
be able to take care of the, pretty soon you can
What's
do the
that?
senior tax deferral.
Yeah.
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 Can I do that? Can I do that on just me, or does my wife have to be a senior too?
Hey, you
No?
can come down and be my helper.
I'll come be your helper. Trust me.
I'll take you on.
I will not be retiring early, although one better be. I better be making the last couple college payments for one right now. She better be graduating in a couple months, and then that'll free up some stuff. But
Let's hope so.
it's a wonderful world out there.
We have one possible application, but I don't know if it's gonna come through, and it would be probably down the road, so.
Okay.
That's the only thing I know of right now.
Any hints at what it could be monetary wise?
It could be a couple thousand, yeah.
Okay. Well, we've got that. If we go with the 7,500, we've still got that 2,500 reserved. Plus, you're thinking, Nick, we had like 3 something after this date last year.
We had 3,400, yeah. We had a 225, a 760, and actually, wait here, let's see. Yeah, and a 2760. So we actually had 3,700.
All right. So let's go with the 7,500 right now. And if something happens, I mean, we can, if we feel we're out of money, we can always say, "Hey, community fund, you got to help us out with this person."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so Sue, you good?
Yes.
Bill, you good?
Boland's good.
And Nick.
Good.
And you got that language for the motion and the vote all down, right, Brian?
Right.
Okay.
So 3-0, and it will be paid in the same method as we have in the past through the Waldo Fay Fund. So just so
Okay.
it's all documented. So I guess that ends our business. We could plan on early March next meeting unless anything pops up, but early March.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Okay, and then I will work with Nick offline about that other stuff. I think
Okay.
that's it. We're
Okay.
good. And I'll send all that stuff to all 3 of you when I get a chance.
Okay.
Okay.
It's good. We haven't seen an update on that in over a year or whatever. So it's good to again visit what the funds are and how much they have, and
Yep.
maybe start thinking if there's a way to drain some down, combine them into another fund legally, whatever. So we're not carrying so many different things, like for Civil War veterans, widows, or something like that.
Yeah.
You
we
know,
can-
I think about that, and it's really funny because I've actually thought about this a lot over the years, and I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not, because, you know, I think everybody, again, gave this money like in a perpetual fashion to the town with the intent
Mhm.
that it's going to be given out over the years. So is it a bad thing if we essentially exhaust somebody's perpetual gift, just to simplify things, when it may sit there and just earn money for 20 years, but then there might be a qualifying candidate? You know what I mean?
Well, but I think if there's some like that might say World War II veterans or whatever,
Yes.
we're pretty limited on that. So we should, I guess what I'm saying is on any of those, we should be looking when there's an application or something.
Right.
We should be looking at instead of the go to Waldo Fay. You know, there's only a few World War II veterans left. Mr. Butler moved out of town and turned 100. You know,
Yeah.
You know what I might be more comfortable with, Bill? Just again, because this kind of preserves the spirit. I don't think that in any of these funds had the word like needy in it, right? And then there was the specific for the most part. We might be better off actually doing a formal merger of a fund that had an obsolete like clause like that with another fund of similar spirit, so that it effectively keeps it perpetual. You know what I mean?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can merge some, whatever else, or use some, you know, if they've got $3,000 in them and there were no more people living in the poorhouse, or you know, some of the things on some of these that even though people may have been dead for 50 years, I don't think as long as their spirit of it providing for the needy is met, that they would say, yeah, there'll be a poorhouse again. So don't deplete my fund.
Right.
So, but again, when Brian sends out that list, we can look at some of those and toss around some ideas,
Yeah,
whatever.
we can add that to the agenda for the next meeting if we need to. That
Yeah.
sounds good. Okay,
Or maybe the agenda when we're actually you know, allowed to sit in a room together again or something like that.
I hope.
It's also a question that we should run by town council.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely. I wouldn't do anything without running it by him.
Yeah.
Right, it's gonna have to, right, yeah,
You know, we have you know, we don't always think about it, but we have this fiduciary responsibility where if we do the wrong thing, we could be on the hook for something.
Right. And in many cases, it could be the 5th generation descendants of the actual bequeather.
Right.
yeah.
But if that's the case, we'll just say, oh, go back to the tape. It was Nick's idea.
Uh,
All right. Are we good?
Sue is rushing off to go ice fishing. That's what happened.
Yeah. I was wondering what those were behind me.
I kind of caught that. I was like, is that a fishing pole?
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
She
who wants
never
to make
knows
a
when something's
motion
jumping in the
to-
pond out back.
Yeah, right.
Who wants to make the motion to be free?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
and- Okay,
Wood, third.
Okay. Bold and die.
Nick,
Yep.
Sue,
Aye.
all right, have a good weekend, everyone.
You
Thanks,
too.
everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care.
All right. Let's see. Quit meeting.